All right, so today we're diving into something pretty creepy. Um, Gamble. It's the creepypasta story. And this one, let me tell you, it grabs you right from the start and it just won't let go.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to take a deep dive into how Emmett K. Young, the author, uses, all the tools of narration to build suspense and a sense of dread.
Right.
And it's got a payoff that will stick with you, I guarantee it.
It really does.
So get ready, because we're about to unpack some seriously effective storytelling.
Yeah, and one of the things that's so captivating about Gamble is just how it sets the stage right from the beginning. You know, the very opening scene with the sunset and that quote about gambling and instincts.
Right,
like,
yeah.
the story itself is a game, and we're already placing our bets just as readers.
Yeah, it's like walking into a casino, and you can feel something big is about to happen.
Yes.
And you mentioned that quote about instincts, which really foreshadows the situation that Ben, our protagonist, is already in.
Right.
We learn about his past. His father disappeared. He's got gambling debts.
Right.
Creates this sense of desperation.
Yeah, and that desperation is key to understanding his choices, you know? I mean, think about it. He's haunted by his past. He's trying to protect his family. So when he's given this opportunity to transport this mysterious box, right? For a loan shark, it's a gamble that he feels he has to take.
Yeah.
So it's classic, like high stakes right from the very beginning.
Okay, but let's talk about this box. It's not just any package.
No.
It's described as having all these intricate gold patterns on it.
Right.
And Ben's immediately uneasy about it. And we don't know what's inside.
Right.
But we can feel the weight of it, almost like it's dangerous, like the box itself is a character.
It is. It is. And that's how the author builds that suspense so well. I mean, it's a physical representation of the gamble that Ben has taken.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is we don't know what's in the box.
Right.
Could be his salvation or his ruin. So that keeps us hooked. You know, we're just waiting. What is going to happen when that box is open?
Right. It's like Chekhov's gun.
Exactly.
You can't introduce a mysterious box in the first act and not expect it to go off in the third.
That's right.
And speaking of suspense, there's this moment where the story shifts and we suddenly see Ben imagining his wife and daughter's future, if he disappears.
Right.
And it's like, oof, that hits you in the gut. It reminds you what's at stake.
It does. And it's so powerful because it adds that emotional element, right, to the suspense. It's not just about him escaping with this box. It's the consequences for his family. And so suddenly we're invested on a much deeper level.
Right.
And this internal conflict, this struggle that he has between protecting his family and this dangerous path that he's on, that makes Ben so compelling as a character.
He's not just some cardboard cutout action hero. He's relatable. He's flawed. He's caught in a bad situation.
Exactly.
Making terrible choices. And then just when you think things can't get any weirder, he encounters his deceased grandmother on the side of the road.
I know.
Talk about creepy.
That's where it takes this turn into the supernatural.
Yeah.
But it's so effective. I mean, think about it. You have Ben, he's on edge already.
Oh, yeah.
And then he sees his dead grandmother.
Right.
And the way she's described, the funeral gown, her gait, I mean, it's like right out of a nightmare. And so it raises the stakes even higher.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes us question the box even more. Like, what is the power this thing holds?
Yes. What's really going on?
Exactly. What forces are at play?
It's like the story is saying, hey, this is more than a crime thriller. Buckle up because things are going to get really strange. And speaking of strange, let's talk about that car chase.
Oh, man.
Oh, I know. Here's where the author's use of pacing is just brilliant.
Yeah.
Short sentences, vivid action verbs, puts us right in the car with Ben.
Yep. You can feel that adrenaline, the desperation, as he's trying to evade these thugs who want the box.
And the way it ends in this abandoned warehouse district, it's like the story's closing in on him.
Right.
Trapping him.
It's like a physical manifestation of his internal state, right?
Yeah.
He's trapped not just by these thugs, but by the choices that he's made.
Right.
But he's not giving up. He's fighting back.
Yeah. He gets the box back.
He does.
And we're left wondering, is there any way out of this?
Right.
But, this is Creepypasta, so things are about to take a very terrifying turn.
Oh, they are.
A turn that takes us to the climax of this whole story,
Yeah.
And going back to what we were talking about earlier with how Emmett K. Young uses narration to build suspense and give us that payoff.
Right.
Get ready to dive into the scariest part of this whole story, the men's toilet cubicle.
Oh, yeah.
A place you definitely don't want to encounter the supernatural.
Not at all.
And the tension in the scene is so thick, you could cut it with a knife. Ben's hiding out. He's desperate to contact the drop-off. And just when you think he might actually escape, bam, that box is open.
Welcome back. Let's go back to that toilet cubicle. Ben's trapped. He's facing whatever's inside that box.
Yeah.
It's just raw, visceral horror, the way the author uses language there.
It's not like flowery prose or anything.
No.
It's just these short sentences that just hit you.
Right.
Like a punch to the gut. Black void, disembodied arms. It's all so sudden.
And what's effective, too, is what's not said.
Right.
You know, we don't know exactly what happens to Ben. It's
Right.
this quick, brutal moment. And it leaves us with this lingering dread, all these unanswered questions.
Yeah. Like, what was in the box?
Right.
Where did Ben go?
Exactly.
Is that the end for him?
It's almost like the author saying, use your imagination. It's probably worse than anything I could describe.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's that final twist. The recipient shows up, totally nonchalant, sending a text message like, delivery received.
Right.
And it's chilling.
Yeah.
Because it reminds us Ben was just a pawn in this whole thing, this much bigger, sinister game.
That ending is what makes it more than just a horror story.
Right.
It's so unsettling. We never find out what's going on, who's in charge, or what happens to Ben.
Exactly.
That lack of closure. It's like there are things out there we just can't understand.
Right. Forces at work.
Yeah.
That we can't comprehend.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces, you know?
Yeah.
And we have to figure it out, but we can't.
And that's where the power of the narration shines through.
Yeah. We talked about the foreshadowing, the pacing,
right,
all those sensory details. But that ending with no resolution, it makes it stick with you.
It really does. It really does. And thinking about the story as a whole, there's this constant dread throughout.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just the events, it's how it's presented to us.
Right.
The setting, the dialogue, even little details just create this atmosphere of unease.
Yeah.
And it just builds and builds until that climax.
Like it's slowly tightening a noose around Ben's neck and we can't stop it.
Exactly. Exactly. Even though we know something bad is going to happen, we just keep reading.
Drawn in.
Yeah.
And then the box, it's not just a thing, right? It's a symbol.
Of temptation and the unknown.
Right. It promises him a way out.
Yeah.
But then it leads to his downfall.
Yeah.
It makes you think about greed and the allure of quick fixes and how easy it is to, you know, make a deal with the devil. Right. Even if we don't understand the terms.
Yeah. And it's a reminder that sometimes the biggest gamble we take isn't with money or fate, you know? It's with ourselves. Gamble is more than just a creepypasta story. It's a reflection on us, you know? A cautionary tale about desperation, about choices, and about the unknown.
And the way Emmett K. Young uses the narration to do that is just, it's what makes it so good.
It really is.
The pacing, the descriptions, the way he builds the suspense and then delivers that ending.
Right.
It all works together to create this story that really stays with you.
And so for this part of our deep dive, I want to ask you, the listener, what resonated with you most in Gamble? Was it the fear of the unknown? Was it those consequences? Or was it that unsettling feeling that there are forces at play that we can't comprehend?
We'll be back soon for the last part of our deep dive, where we'll explore these questions and maybe offer some final thoughts on the lasting impact of Gamble. Okay, so welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Gamble. We've talked about, you know, all the creepy stuff that happens,
right?
How the author builds that suspense, and all those questions we're left with. So now, like, what does it all mean?
Well, what really gets me about Gamble is how it plays with this idea of free will versus fate. You know, Ben, he's obviously driven by what's happening in his life.
Yeah.
But he makes choices that, I mean, you can kind of understand given the situation, but they lead him down this, like, really dark path. Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, are we really in control? Or are we just, you know, at the mercy of these forces that are much bigger than us?
That's like the ultimate question, right?
Exactly.
And Gamble doesn't give you the answer. It's more like this scary situation where an ordinary guy just gets caught up, and then it's like his fate is sealed the second he picks up that box. And you mentioned the supernatural stuff.
Right.
And I think that makes it even more complicated. That whole fate, free will thing.
Oh, absolutely. The grandmother, the noises in the vents, that void in the box.
Right.
They all hint at something we just don't understand, something beyond logic, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Where the rules don't apply.
Like the story is telling us there are things out there that can just jump in, mess with our lives.
Exactly.
In really scary, unpredictable ways.
It's that fear of the unknown. So much great horror plays on that.
Yeah, we fear what we don't understand. And Gamble it gets that.
It does.
And then there's the box. It's more than just a box, right?
Right. It's a symbol.
Of temptation, of the unknown.
Yeah. It promises to save Ben, but ends up destroying him. It makes you think, greed, shortcuts, how easily we can make deals with the devil even when we don't know what we're getting into.
And it's like the biggest gamble isn't with money or even fate.
Right.
It's with ourselves.
Yeah.
So gamble, it's not just creepypasta. It's deeper than that.
It is.
It makes you think about people, about choices, about desperation, the unknown.
And the way Emmett K. Young does it, the narration, that's what makes it so good.
Yeah.
The pacing, the descriptions, the way he builds to that ending, it sticks with you.
If you like this deep dive into Gamble, check out more of Emmett K. Young's stuff.
Yeah.
And keep exploring creepypasta stories. You never know what you might find.
That's right. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and maybe keep a light on, just in case.
Yeah, good advice.